You know that feeling? You're scrolling online, maybe Facebook Marketplace, Mercari, OfferUp,
Swappa, maybe.
right, Swappa, and you spot this phone. Looks like a fantastic deal. You buy it, you're excited,
Uh-huh.
and then you try to activate it. Nothing. No service.
Oh,
We're just SOS.
yeah, and you find out it's blacklisted, lost or stolen.
Exactly. And suddenly that great deal feels like, well, like you just bought a really pricey paperweight.
It's a real punch to the gut, honestly. That excitement just vanishes.
Totally. So today, we want to give you some potential power back here.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, if you've ended up with one of these blacklisted AT&T devices.
Right.
We're going to dive into how you might be able to get that lost or stolen status reversed yourself. It gets called unbarring or IMEI cleaning.
Unbarring, IMEI cleaning, blacklist repair. Yeah, different names for basically the same goal.
Okay, but let's be super clear up front. This is only for AT&T devices we're talking about today.
Crucial point, AT&T only.
And it's about fixing that stolen status.
Mhm.
It is not about unlocking the phone to use on, say, T-Mobile or Verizon.
Nope. That's unlocking, a totally different thing. We're focused purely on getting it unbarred from the AT&T blacklist.
Got it. Okay, so you're holding this phone, it won't connect. What's the absolute very first thing you have to do? Sources really stress getting the facts straight first.
Absolutely. Step 1, no guesswork. Confirm it is an AT&T device.
Don't just trust the listing or what the seller said.
Definitely not. You need proof. Facts.
So how do we get that proof? The source actually points towards T-Mobile's website, interestingly, their IMEI checker.
Yeah, it sounds a bit weird using a competitor site, but their public IMEI checker is actually pretty good at identifying the original carrier for many devices.
Great.
So you plug in the IMEI number there, and it should tell you the make, model, and crucially, the original carrier.
And why is that so vital right at the start?
Because if you spend time trying AT&T methods on what turns out to be, I don't know, a Verizon phone.
You've wasted your time.
Yeah.
And maybe money.
Exactly. You need to know you're targeting the right network from the get-go. It avoids having to start all over again.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you did that. Use the T-Mobile checker, and bingo, it confirms. AT&T device. Great. What's next? Just knowing it's AT&T isn't enough, right? We need to know why it's blocked.
Precisely. The block could be for non-payment or something else. We need to confirm it's specifically lost or stolen.
Okay, and how do we verify that specific reason?
This is where you'd typically use a dedicated checking service. The source recommends looking at something like direct codes.
Direct codes. Okay.
These are third-party servers that specialize in digging up this kind of device information from carrier databases.
Gotcha. Now, the source mentions the process is a bit different depending on if you have an iPhone or an Android. Let's start with Apple iPhone or iPad.
Right. For iOS devices on direct codes, it's usually a bit more straightforward. You'd look for their place order section, then find device services, and then specifically a service like Apple iPhone Check or something similar. The good thing here is that often this one check will give you both the carrier confirmation and the lost stolen status.
Oh, nice. One-stop shop, basically.
Kind of, yeah. For Apple devices, it often bundles that info.
Okay, cool. But what if you snagged an Android deal that went sour? Sounds like maybe a couple more clicks.
It can be, yeah. For Androids, you might need two separate checks on a service like direct codes.
Okay.
First, you'd want to confirm it's definitely AT&T. Sometimes there are manufacturer-specific checks, like the source mentioned a Samsung Network check service as an example. That pins down the carrier.
Right, so double-checking the carrier again, essentially.
A sort of, yeah, or getting more specific confirmation. Then, once you're sure it's AT&T, you need to run a separate check specifically for the blacklist status. Look for a lost and stolen check service.
So 2 potential steps for Android.
Yeah.
Confirm AT&T, then confirm lost stolen status.
That's often the case, yes. Just got to make sure you get that official confirmation that lost or stolen is the reason it's blocked.
Okay, so recap. Use T-Mobile checker first, maybe, then direct codes to nail down AT&T and the lost or stolen status. Once you have those 2 pieces of confirmed information, what's the actual fix? How do you try to get it unbarred?
Right. Once you're certain AT&T device lost, stolen, blacklist, then you can look into using what's called an unbarring service.
Okay.
The source specifically mentions phone-style server as a reliable option for AT&T unbarring. They might call it blacklist repair or IMEI cleaning, like we said.
Phone-style server. And these services, they basically petition AT&T or work within the system somehow to remove that flag.
That's the idea, yeah. They interact with the carrier systems to try and clear that specific status associated with your IMEI.
Now, you mentioned phone-style server. The source also notes there are other servers on their approved list that do this. Why this specific recommendation for phone-style?
Well, the source pointed to a good track record, positive experiences reported by users, and importantly, the fixes seem to stick.
Ah, so less chance of it getting re-blacklisted later.
That seems to be the feedback, yeah. Permanence is a big plus. While other servers might work too, reputation matters here.
Makes sense. So if someone decides, okay, I'm going for it, they go to phone-style server, find the AT&T Unbar service, what do they actually need to submit?
It's usually pretty simple. You just need the phone's IMEI number.
The same number we've been using for all the checks.
Exactly. You provide that IMEI, place the order for the unbarring service, and they take it from there.
Okay, and then we wait. This isn't like flicking a light switch, I assume.
Definitely not instant. You need to set expectations. The source says it typically takes a few days.
A few days. Okay, so patience is required.
Patience is key, yes. Don't expect it to work an hour after you submit. Give it some time.
Now, we need to hammer this point home again because it's easy to get confused. This unbarring, it's not the same as unlocking, right?
Absolutely not. Let's make that crystal clear again. Unbarring removes the lost or stolen block so the phone can work on AT&T again.
On its original network.
Correct. But it likely still won't work on T-Mobile or Verizon or internationally. For that, you need a separate network unlock or SIM unlock.
So you might unbar it, get it working on AT&T, but then still need to unlock it if you want to use a different carrier.
Precisely. Two different problems, two different solutions. Unbarring tackles the blacklist, unlocking tackles the carrier lock.
Got it. Good clarification. The source also mentions some extra help, like an unbarring IMEI cleaning FAQ, but it says it was written for T-Mobile. How helpful is that for an AT&T issue?
It's a fair question. While some details might be T-Mobile specific, the underlying concepts, how these services generally operate, what to expect, potential pitfalls, they're often very similar across carriers.
So the principles are kind of universal, even if some specifics differ.
Exactly. Reading through it could still give you valuable context and answer general questions about the whole unbarring idea, even if your device is AT&T. The basic mechanics are often the same.
Okay, that's useful. And where can people find links to all these things we've mentioned, direct codes, phone-style server?
Yeah, we'll put all those direct links right in the show notes for you. Links to direct codes, phone-style server, also the Unlocker's YouTube channel, and their WhatsApp contact mentioned in the source material.
Okay.
And also info on signing up for their website membership, which is free, apparently. Could be a way to connect with others who've dealt with this.
Right, community support. Now, there was also a little side note in the source material, kind of interesting, about potentially turning this knowledge into a business.
Yeah, a brief mention. The idea being once you get good at navigating this, maybe figuring out these checks and services, you could potentially offer that as a paid service to help other people stuck with blacklisted phones. Setting up a simple website, offering guidance.
Kind of a niche service.
Right. And the source notes the overhead could be pretty low, since it's mostly about your expertise. They even gave a contact Taylor Bell's email, if that's something you wanted to explore.
Interesting possibility.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap the main steps for someone listening who's in this exact situation with an AT&T phone.
Sure. Step 1, verify it's definitely AT&T. Maybe use that T-Mobile checker initially.
Step 2, verify the reason for the block is specifically lost or stolen. Use a service like direct codes for that confirmation.
Step 3, if both those check out, consider using an unbarring service. Phone-style server was the recommended one. Submit your IMEI.
Step 4, be patient. Allow a few days for the process to work.
And remember, step 5 maybe? This is just to get it working on AT&T again, not to unlock it for other carriers. That's separate.
Perfect summary. It's about trying to turn that frustrating paperweight back into a working phone, at least on its original network.
Exactly. Taking a bad situation and trying to find a solution.
So here's a final thought to leave you with, something to maybe chew on. Beyond just fixing your phone, what does this whole scenario, buying used devices online, dealing with blacklists, tell us about the bigger picture? What are the challenges in this secondary market for electronics? And how could things maybe improve so buyers have more transparency, more ways to check a device's history before they click buy?
That's a really big question. Definitely food for thought about trust and verification in the online marketplace.
Something to ponder. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.